So shall I start with the presentation now?
Yes, sir. Please go.
Okay, so I think someone was asking for a break in the chat window. Don't worry, sir. It's a very short presentation. I'll try to cover it up pretty quickly, and then maybe you can have a break after this. So, good morning to all the participants. My name is Yash Dhingra, and I am a scientist C in Indian Computer Emergency Response Team, or CERTIN, as you might have already heard. So CERTIN is actually a part of the Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology. And we basically are tasked with handling the cybersecurity incidents that happen in India. And that is what we are going to look at today in this presentation. It's about incident handling. So let me begin with the presentation. So let's just first go through what cyber incident is, and only then we can actually understand what cyber incident handling is. So basically, a cyber incident is a breach of a system's security policy in order to affect its integrity or availability and unauthorized access to attempted access to the system or the systems. So this is the definition that is given by NCSC, or National Cyber Security Council UK, and basically it just means that whenever there is an unauthorized access on your machine or on your infrastructure, then you can term it as a cybersecurity incident. So that is just in a nutshell, that's what it is. So what are some examples of a cybersecurity incident? Let's just take a look at some of the examples of a cybersecurity incident. So I've listed down some of these incidents. Like first is DOS, basically denial of service, or DDoS, which is distributed denial of service. So if you are in some way an attacker is denying you access to a particular resource on the web, or denying the users of the genuine users access to a particular website, then this is called a denial of service attack. Then unauthorized access or hacking, I think it is pretty clear what it is. Basically, someone who's not authorized to access the data is getting access to it. Defacement of a public website, I think is must have heard of defacement of government website. So someone hacks into the website and changes the homepage so that everybody can see that this particular website has been hacked. And then scanning or network probing, which means someone is scanning your network or trying to find out the security holes or the vulnerabilities or what ports you have open on your network. So that is also sort of considered as an attack. And malware attacks, or APTs, advanced persistent threats as they are called. So malware, you must have heard of different kind of malware like viruses, trojans, worms, and nowadays ransomware. So all these are malware which come inside your machine, and they can actually execute a lot of malicious activities. And then there are data breaches. Basically, someone gets into the network, gets access to the database, and then they or the file system, file structure, and then all the confidential data is stolen. So that is what a data breach is. And then there are also insider threats. So basically, someone who is disgruntled or someone who is unhappy with the functioning of the organization, basically, and someone on the inside, someone who's an employee, and that person can actually take a lot of data because they do have access to the confidential information, and such a person can take some of the or all of the database, and then they can actually either put it online for free, or they can also sell it. So that's like an insider threat. So these are the different kinds of cyber incidents that can happen. And what we have learned so far through our experience is that incidents do occur, which means that despite all the best efforts and despite having all the best and the most expensive equipment, the best in-class equipment, and the best in-class software installed on your network or on your infrastructure, you will find that cyber incidents will still occur. And even the biggest and the best of the software companies or vendors are not able to prevent cyber incidents. So in the recent past, you might have heard of cyber incidents that have happened on big companies like Microsoft and Apple and Google and all that. So despite their expertise in software, despite their expertise in hardware, even the biggest corporations are not able to prevent cyber incidents from happening. And whatever equipment you employ or whatever security infrastructure you're keeping in place on your network, nothing can actually guarantee that an incident will not happen. So the best thing is that you can prevent the most of the damage, then that is the best thing. For example, if a cybersecurity incident happens and you are able to detect it early and you're able to prevent any significant loss to the infrastructure or any significant data loss. So that is the best that we can achieve, and that is what the main aim is. So now after we have gone through this, there are two questions. How do we respond to cyber incidents, and who responds to cyber incidents? So the rest of the presentation is going to be around these two questions. We're going to look at the first question now. How do we respond to cyber incidents? So that takes us to the next section, which is incident handling and response. And we are going to look at how incidents are handled and what kind of response an incident requires. Uh, so what is incident handling and response? So incident handling and response is a process by which an organization is defending itself against a cyber incident. And the aim is to protect and restore the normal operating function of all the computers on the network. So if a cyber incident starts happening and the attacker is trying to hamper the normal functioning of the system, and it is being affected by the hacker by different means, then the aim of incident handling in this case is that we want the normal operating condition of the computer and the network to be achieved. So we want to go back to the normal condition as it was before the attack. That's what our aim is, and that's what the aim of incident handling is. And once we have handled this incident, for example, if the attacker was trying to was causing a DOS attack on our network, basically a denial of service attack on our network, and the website or our network or infrastructure, whatever service we are providing, it is not available to the genuine users. So once we have handled this incident and once we have stopped the attack from happening, and once the website is back online, or once the service is actually functioning normally, then the next step is incorporating all the learnings from the incident to make sure that it does not happen again, or it is not able to cause as much damage as it has in this particular case. So that's what the aim of incident handling and response is. Now, this is sort of an infographic where you can actually see the incident handling life cycle. And there are three main stages to this: detection, triage, and then response. So first stage is detection, and this in particular is pertaining to certain and how we look at our how basically how our process of incident handling and response is. And you can assume that similar process is actually followed by almost all organizations or almost all certs. So the first stage is detection, and there are several vectors by which we detect or are made aware of a cyber incident. Through our emails, we get a lot of incidents. We are reported incidents by a lot of organizations, government and private, both, and by individuals as well. We get a lot of emails stating that so and so incident, cyber incident, might take place or is actually taking place at this time. So that is one of our main modes of communication, through our email. And through letters also we get a lot of cyber incidents. Through phone calls also we get a lot of incidents. And there are other telemetry also, like we receive alerts from various CSIRTs. We have a threat intel team which actually monitors the different kinds of cyber threats which are active, and accordingly we get a lot of information from them. And we do a lot of network monitoring as well through various teams. And that's how we get to know about cyber incidents, whether they are taken currently taking place or if they have taken already happened. And that's how that's all about the first part, or the detection phase. And the second part is the triage. So triage means once you have been made available, once you have been made aware of a particular cyber security incident, the triage process actually involves deciding what you have to do with it. So all the actions that needs to be taken care in order, all the actions which which need to be taken in order to handle this particular incident forms part of the triage phase. So, for example, if we have been made of an incident and we want some further information, then we'll request the relevant organization for incident. And if it is possible to gather some information on our own, then we'll do that. And for example, if a vulnerability has been reported to us by someone that so and so software vendor or software resource is actually having a particular vulnerability, then we'll publish a vulnerability report. So all this is part of the incident handling process, the second phase, which is called triage, which means we are deciding what needs to be done and how this incident needs to be handled. And then the last part is the response. So that's the third phase. And this actually requires some technical analysis to understand how this particular incident happened, why this particular incident happened, and who was involved in actually causing this particular cyber attack. So finding out the attacker and the relevant IOCs or IP addresses and file hashes or whatnot. So that comes under the technical analysis, and then obtaining the relevant contact information of who needs to be contacted in order to tell the relevant organization that this particular incident has happened on your infrastructure and you need to take care of it. And these are the steps. So sending out all that relevant information and advisories to the stakeholders, that forms part of the response. And if it is a large scale incident and there are multiple parties involved in it, for example, there could be a network service provider who is facing an attack, and because of that, all the basically all the organizations which are availing services from them may also have come under attack because of them. So coordinating the information and coordinating the incident response with all the stakeholders and all the relevant organizations which have been impacted. So that's what comes under this response phase as well. And ultimately, after this, all this technical analysis has been done, and we have come to the root cause of the incident, and we have found out all the relevant IOCs and all the analysis of all the logs and all the evidences has been done. Then we go towards the resolution or further escalation. So that comes after this. So if the incident is already resolved, then basically we close the incident and an incident report is prepared and it is sent to all the relevant organizations. So that is how an incident is handled from the start to the to when the incident is actually closed. So let's just take a very simple example of a very simple kind of an incident that we keep receiving, and it's a basic phishing website. So you can look at this website. It looks at like the NIC email page, email.gov.in. But if you look at the address bar clearly, you'll see that it is actually email.gov.in.mailgovin.com/verify-email. So in the recent past, there have actually been several reports of emails of government officials being compromised. We have received several such reports, and the modus operandi is very simple. The person will actually receive an email saying that you need to verify your password, or you need to click on this link to verify this email, otherwise it will be blocked or something like that. So there will be a phishing email, and when the person clicks on this email, he or she will be redirected to this fraudulent website, which looks like the genuine email page. And when the user punches in their login ID and password, it will actually be taken by the attacker. So this is a very simple incident, but we'll look at how we are going to handle this. So we receive the vector for receiving such incidents is mostly via our email, and that is the detection phase when we are made aware of such an incident. And once we get to know of this incident, immediately we'll try to find out by looking at the who is information of this particular website, that who is the ISP and the registrar of this particular domain. So once we have found out the relevant registrar and the relevant ISP who is hosting this particular website, then immediately we'll send them an information or an email saying that such and such website is actually hosting phishing pages and it is being used to target several victims and you need to take it down. So once we send this information, that is the first step that we take immediately being aware of this. We send out these emails so that quickly this page can be actually taken down, and the quicker this page is taken down, the less number of victims will actually go to this website and punch in their information. So that is the first step. And then second step is to actually report to all the browsers, basically Edge, Microsoft Internet Explorer, and then Firefox, Chrome, and Safari. All these the most commonly used browsers, we will report this phishing page to them. And you might have actually come across this particular warning when you try to visit some page. The browser actually gives you a warning that this particular page has been marked as fraudulent, and it will give you a warning that you should not visit this website. So that's why it is important to report to the browser. So when we report to the browsers, they actually start showing these warnings. And ultimately, after all this has taken place and we have informed the relevant stakeholders about this particular page, then we actually might inform NIC as well that this particular so and so incident has happened, and so that they can also at their end, NIC can also take care of all the compromised emails. If we, for example, if we find out the list of compromised emails, then we'll send it to them, and then they can like basically block access or block access to all those email accounts, and basically force the users to change their passwords. So that is the process by which such an incident is actually handled. Now we'll look at the second question that we talked about initially, who actually handles cybersecurity incidents. So this is the answer to that. So it's called a CSIRT, which means a Computer Security Incident Response Team. And a CSIRT is basically an expert group that handles cybersecurity incidents, and it provides services and support for preventing and responding to cybersecurity incidents to a defined constituency. So that is a very important thing. So a CSIRT always has a constituency for which it is handling cybersecurity incidents. Now, a constituency can be very different. Basically, the constituency can be the entire country. For example, there can be national CSIRTs, for example, CERT-In, which is the Computer Security Incident Response Team for India. And there can be regional CSIRTs. Basically, all the states, different states are now actually coming up with their own CERTs. There can be sectoral CERTs, which means all the sectors like finance sector, power sector, and telecom sector, all these actually have their own certs, and they handle cybersecurity incidents of that particular sector. So it actually, every CSIRT, whenever it is formed, it basically the constituency is defined that ways, and all the organizations also, and all the big companies, they also have their own CSIRTs, which is basically a team that is going to handle cybersecurity for them. So these are the services of a CSIRT. This is in a nutshell, I have placed this. A CSIRT actually provides reactive services, which means incident response. So once a cybersecurity incident has taken place, then how do you respond to that particular incident comes under the reactive category. And there are proactive operations as well. So even before a cybersecurity incident can happen, and by looking at the global trends and by various threat intel sources and various telemetry, if you're able to tell that so and so incident might happen, and you're able to prevent it from happening. So you can, you basically can send out advisories to all the relevant stakeholders and all the relevant companies and tell them that such and such incident might happen, and you need to be prepared for such an eventuality. So if the organizations already know about it, and if they can already block the relevant IOCs at their end even before an incident can happen, then that comes under the proactive category. So I think that is it. I've talked about basically in summarization how an incident is handled, and who actually looks at incident handling for different domains. So that's it from the presentation. And these you can actually, if you actually come across any cyber incident at your organization or even on your personal or official email IDs, and you can actually report it to us at incident@cert-in.org.in. And we also have a website, cert-in.org.in, which is where we actually, which is updated very regularly, and you'll get a lot of information about the latest trends of cybersecurity incident on our website. So if we have any questions, we can take them.